Let's get started, and I kind of want to understand right in the get-go, how did Nepalganj happen? Like that's something that's like very current, and then we'll backtrack into everything else.
Yeah.
How did Nepalganj happen?
You mean how it finally worked
Worked
or
out.
how we got
did
there?
how did it finally work out?
Basically, Nepalganj was similar to most or all of the Pumpforpeace projects, which is the biggest struggle is always getting organized with the locals, get the right materials, get the right machinery. And that usually involves a lot of yelling and like really getting loud because nothing ever happens as planned.
Yeah.
What made Nepalganj very different, though, is that we had a really, really good crew of helpers from Lalitpur, from the project we had 1 year ago,
Yeah.
which is Jenny and Jay, who came to Nepalganj with me to do all the yelling for me. So I did not have to negotiate anything. I was able to work in the excavator and on the asphalt without having to call the asphalt plant or find the machines or find the gravel, because that was all done by Jay and Jenny. So for me, this work was almost like a meditation. I could just fully focus on building the track and didn't have to worry about much else. So it was quite amazing.
No, that's fantastic. All right, can we do a favor? Can you guys do me a favor and then open the Instagram and then show everybody a video of exactly what we are talking about, so that everybody understands exactly what happened in Nepalganj. I wanted to keep it a secret for friends who have no idea what we were talking about. Well, that's exactly what happened in Nepalganj, right? What, 2 days ago or 3 days ago?
That is actually from yesterday.
Oh,
and this is
fresh.
Yeah, so this is just after finishing the last truck of asphalt, and some guys were already doing the first laps. Obviously now it needs to be cleaned up and the landscaping needs to be done. We're going to put some red lines on there for the riders to get oriented, and then at some point there's going to be the opening.
No, this is awesome. By when do you think we're going to be completely ready?
Well, that depends if they work Nepalese speed or Swiss speed.
Well, let's combine both.
Yeah. No, but they said that the opening should be in roughly 3 weeks.
In roughly 3 weeks. So
Yeah.
kids in Nepal should be ready in 3 weeks then. No, that's awesome. That's beautiful. Do me a favor, मलाई काठमाडौँको pump track, ललितपुरको pump track को पनि उ गरिदिउँ न, देखाइदिउँ न सबैजनालाई, so that everybody kind of understands what we're talking about. No, this is awesome. Let's get started then. Tell me a little bit about. I know a lot of backstory. It's just on you, but so it was 77, and then everything got started. You came around, and then. How did you end up, just to share with everybody a little bit about the culture in your home and culture in your country? Like, was biking already a big part of the culture and the society back in the day, in the 80s?
Road cycling for sure. Road cycling was always very big in Switzerland.
Mm-hmm.
Mountain biking was not yet a thing back then. But soon enough, I mean, since road cycling and cyclocross were a big tradition in Switzerland, it meant that immediately when mountain biking came up, we also had some of the best riders there. So there was Thomas Frischknecht was the first big one in Switzerland, won some World Cups.
Yeah.
And they basically laid the basis or the foundation for mountain biking becoming maybe the biggest sport in Switzerland. So it's very close to soccer, very close to football. Everybody has a bike, if not 2 or 3. And yeah, it's a big thing. And that's why up until now, Switzerland has always had world champions, World Cup winners,
Exactly.
Olympic champions. Not in my discipline, though. What I was talking about, where we do have a lot of champions, is in cross-country racing.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that are really fit. And then there's the lazy guys like me that just like to go downhill. And surprisingly enough, Switzerland is not very strong in that. As a man, I still hold
I know.
the best ranking of a Swiss guy, which is a fourth. Others have become fifth, but no one's ever actually won a World Cup.
In the future.
Actually, maybe before me, in the early 90s, there might have been. We did have a world champion, actually. In 91 or so, the first world champion came from Switzerland. But then after that, surprising enough, because we do have the mountains, we do have the lifts, so training should be very easy in Switzerland for this kind of sport. But for some reason, it didn't happen. But then 2 or 3 years ago,
Yeah.
a woman came up, Camille Ballanche, and she started winning races. So I think you've done your homework, eh?
just. I do know that you used to work in sewage pipes and trying to fix that to make some money. So I've heard
How
about
did
that.
you find that out? Holy moly, you really do your work, huh?
Downtimes, right? I just want to, before I get into pump track worlds and Pumpforpeace and other things, I just want to understand when you're super down, right, and things do not work out for you. You know, there have been times, when things haven't worked out at all, right? Before you started Velosolutions and so many other things, right? What are the things that got you going?
When I was down, what got me going? Like I used to say back in the past, the harder it got, the more motivated I got. So if I had an injury in the worst moment, when I actually had my goal set to become world champion, and then a couple of months before I had a really bad injury, that always made me go even harder. So I couldn't even say that there were times that I was completely down, because those things wouldn't change the determination. I mean, the harder it got, the more I pushed.
Wow, that's such a fantastic way of saying it. It reminds me of Rocky, that movie.
I would not be so sure if I'm still the same, but that was in the past. As an athlete, there's different parts in life, and they change you. And now that I'm not an athlete anymore, I think a lot different about things, and it's not so much about being first anymore.
It's about keep on moving ahead and heading forward.
Yeah, it's about being happy without having to be first. It's about being happy without the appreciation of others. Even though, I mean, obviously, being appreciated is always a very good feeling.
Yeah.
When people tell you they love what you do, it always makes you happy, right? But at the same time, I think at some point in life, it's good to learn how to be happy without the need of having people telling you how good you are or how much they love what you do. So I don't know. I just got there this year. It was actually in another podcast in Switzerland where, Yeah, where this just came out of me, and I didn't even know where this came from. But I just said what I just said. It's like, for my whole life, I've been able to do really cool things, the things that I love. And what made them even better is that the people appreciated them. So even with those course previews I did at the Mountain Bike World Cup, people loved them so much, and they told me how much they loved that. And then with building these pump tracks, people love them, and they tell me how they love what we're doing. And obviously that always makes me feel really, really happy. And for a long time I said that nothing makes you more happy than when what you do makes other people happy. So making other people happy with your work is the best feeling ever.
Yeah.
But then, as said at that last podcast, something came out of me, and I said, well, at some point in life, you should be happy without that, without this confirmation that what you're doing is good.
Yeah.
And maybe, who knows? It's a process.
Yeah, and it's a long journey, right?
Yeah.
It's not like you're gonna go downhill and then you're gonna stop one day. You're gonna go uphill. Maybe you'll go downhill someday, and then maybe you'll go uphill again, right? Do you enjoy going uphill?
The funny thing is, actually, yes. Even though I was a downhiller, but also with age, suddenly I enjoy going uphill. Don't tell anyone I'm riding e-bikes.
Oh my God! Don't tell me. With that small little battery pack, which is definitely going to help you in those.
Just a
little bit, right? Just a little bit. Oh my God! Did you see my small little scooter down there?
No, I haven't.
I'll show it to you in a while when we go down. I've got this small little scooter from this company called New. It's like it goes 25 kilometers per hour, and then I'm zooming around all over town in that small little scooter. And Mark, it's so awesome. They give you that edge. Like, did you ever imagine that back in the day when you got started with biking, right? That they're gonna go ahead and put a motor in it. They're gonna go ahead and put like a battery pack in it. Did you ever imagine that?
No, and for a long time I've tried to avoid getting on an e-bike because I knew once I tried it I would be hooked, and that's exactly what happened. But the good thing about it is, ever since I got an e-bike, never used a gondola or a chairlift anymore to go downhill riding because I'd always pedal up myself.
Just go ahead and pedal up by yourself, right? What did you want to go ahead and say to downhill riders or in riders in general within the sphere of Nepal and beyond? What did you want to go ahead and say to specifically to downhill riders? Let's start with that today.
In Nepal?
Yeah.
Well, obviously they have a bit of a different playground than we do in Europe. To be honest, I haven't seen many riding trails where I was hiking. It always seemed too steep or just stairs. So I haven't really seen any riding trails here. So I don't know what their playground is to train on. To start with, it's just play, just have fun, and everything else comes with it. And that's how I did it too. There wasn't, to start with, it wasn't like just a performance mind. That automatically came. Maybe that's my natural being, or was at least in the past. But at the beginning, just do whatever you love, do whatever is fun.
Yeah.
And then if you realize that you have the potential to win races, everything else will come. You will find out that you need some fitness and do some push-ups and whatever is needed to perform. But up to that point, just go out and ride as much as you can.
As much as you can, right? The athlete's edge, if I'm not mistaken, you had some of the best people helping you out in the world, like some of the top nutritionists, some of the top people within the sphere to help you out back in the day?
Yeah, I actually was able to ride on some of the best teams.
Yeah.
But I would say what it took to get there, I mean, you're not just being picked up into one of the best teams from the start, from scratch. And maybe that is something to tell the young riders. Don't look for sponsors at first. Just go out there, ride, and if you ride well enough, sponsors will come. But I've seen with a lot of young riders that the first thing they do is go look for sponsors. I'm like, well, why would someone sponsor you only because you want to ride a bike? I mean, the sponsorship is business. and that business, like the sponsor wants something from you, and that is usually results or media coverage. And if you don't have either, then you must probably show a lot of potential so someone believes in you. But the focus, as said at the beginning, should just be get out there and write and have fun. And when you do that, the sponsors will come.
The sponsors are going to definitely go ahead and come, right? That's such a fantastic way of saying it. And now with digital, right? Now with the sphere of digital, they can go ahead and put themselves out there in the world as well.
Yeah, that's what changed in the last, let's say, 20 years after, or 15 years or so. My career was still free of that, so I could focus on just racing. And after my career, then it started, oh, you have to do this Facebook thing. And then later on, oh, you have to do this Instagram thing.
Yeah.
And nowadays, which is also, in some way a good thing, if it opens up more opportunities for riders that cannot be the fastest in the world. But if you are creative and you know it the best, if you are creative, find your own way on how to tell stories or how to produce content. Don't just copy others, find your own thing. And that opens up a lot of opportunities for people who cannot be World Cup champions.
Yeah.
So nowadays there's a lot of people making their living from cycling without having to go to the World Cup. Because at the World Cup there's only, 20 people who can win races, or 10 people.
The best of the best in the world, yeah.
Yeah, and those can make a salary from racing World Cups. But there's thousands of people who love riding bikes and who are really good at riding bikes, but maybe not at the World Cup level. But they do have stories to tell. They do have cool content to show.
Yeah.
And this is what the social media makes possible. If you use it in the right way, it's a really cool thing. I mean, if a Nepali rider is really creative and produces really cool videos, he could possibly make a living from sponsors just by riding bikes and producing cool content.
The thing that I wanted to touch base on is, do people, let's say in Switzerland, right? Let's say, or anywhere else in the world, right? It doesn't matter where you come from at the end of the day when it comes to sponsors as well, right? Like you could be in one part of the planet, and if you've got some cool content, or if you've got something cool that people love, then maybe you can be picked up by, for example, Red Bull or anybody else from the world. It can happen to anybody anywhere in the world today.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, it might be different brands depending on where you're coming from, but it's about finding your own creative thing where that makes you unique. If you're just doing the same thing as a million others do already, then it's probably not very interesting for a sponsor. But if you have your own ideas, and it's not only not interesting for a sponsor, but also for the viewers. I mean, no one's going to watch a video that 10 others have already done. So you kind of have to find your own angle.
Yeah, find your own niche, right? That's something that I just want the guys who are watching right now to be motivated by like a small little thing. You could do something slightly different and have that emotional connection with your audience.
Yeah, and like for me personally, I did have some results as a racer, but those were not the results that made me known.
Yeah.
And then at some point we had the idea of doing those course previews at the World Cup.
Yeah.
And so I was talking while introducing the race course.
Yeah.
And those videos went immediately through the roof. And that wasn't planned. It was not. I was not like looking for doing this. It was just an idea that actually came through. Red Bull crashed ice, another crazy thing. We don't need to get into that.
Sure.
But the organizer of that one actually asked me, hey, could you do course previews for for Red Bull Crash as for TV, and I said, yeah, well, why not? Yeah, let's do it.
Give it a try, yeah.
And then those were quite successful, and that's why I then asked, hey, why don't we do that in the Mountain Bike World Cup as well?
Yeah. Play it.
Yeah, that's another one from Red Bull Rampage, actually.
Yeah.
That's not a World Cup, but this is by far the scariest I've ever done, yeah.
This is intense. I remember watching. This is. Could you break it down a little bit for everybody?
Well, this is actually the second one. The first one was even scarier. But for those who don't know what Red Bull Rampage is, it's in Utah in the USA, where it's a big mountain free ride event where the riders are there for like 2 weeks, finding their own lines, finding their own trail down the mountain. They build it with a build crew, and then they just go crazy on the biggest gaps. Obviously, I did not do them. Here, as you can see, I stalled.
We've seen other videos of other friends doing it. I'm like, oh my God. How's the sensation of speed and the adrenaline? How is it? Like, if you could explain it to somebody who doesn't go downhill, like somebody who's watching or listening right now, how's the sensation? Like, what goes in your mind and what's the rush like?
Well, you know, as a racer, you should not be too much over your limit. It happens sometimes. Some riders are riding more over the limit. Some riders are staying more in the safe zone. So the rush, it depends. If you're a controlled rider or if you're a completely out of control rider, I guess I was more of the second.
Yeah, we know. We've seen.
How would you explain the feeling? I don't know. You gotta try it out.
You gotta try it out. Oh man, that makes you different from a lot of other people who don't want to push the boundaries. Like, you want to. Maybe there are some friends who just want to in anything in life, right? You want to either stay within the boundaries or you want to go ahead and push it slightly. Let's see how far can we get. Let's see how much we can push it.
Exactly. Yeah.
You might break a few bones. I don't know. You might break more than that. But how does it feel to just push it slightly?
Well, maybe it's like, as soon as there is a boundary, let's see if it really is there, or if we can get over it, or push that boundary to some new places. And I guess that's what most athletes do. It's, I mean, if you look at the Rampage, what the riders are doing nowadays, it has nothing to do anymore with what they did 15 years ago. And when we started mountain biking in the 90s, it was completely insane to do like a 3 or 4 meter jump.
And now?
For us, this was crazy. And it was adrenaline. And we were like, yeah, we jumped 4 meters. This is completely insane. And now every 6-year-old jumps 4 meters. And it's nothing. It's no problem at all. And that's how the boundaries get pushed. Constantly, always. I guess that's a thing of any athlete, is pushing his personal boundaries or then the general boundaries that someone else put. And as you say, this is not necessarily just something for sport. This is for everything in life.
You have to go ahead. I'm a big believer in pushing the boundaries, because you don't know. Who would have thought that we would have a pump track in Nepalganj or in Lalitpur? That's also something that probably a few friends came together, and then all right, let's get this done. Let's make this happen in Nepal, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I'm going to touch base on this. You're a favor garda मलाई just to touch base on this. फेरि एक्चुअली अर्को एउटा त्यो हाइलाइट्स देखाउ त होइन सबैजनालाई ऱ्याम्पेजकै. What do you think the future is going to be? What do you think is going to happen with, obviously I'm going to take name of this sponsor one more time. Let's say friends from Red Bull or friends from so many different sponsors, just pushing the boundaries, right? What do you think is going to happen next? Like, how does the future look for downhill riding, just to stick with this? What do you think is the future going to be like? How high are the jumps going to be? Or how crazy is it going to be? What do you think?
Well, this was the first one. This was actually the really scary one. I did not sleep there for 3 days because I knew I had to get up here. And I told you earlier, I'm scared of heights.
3 days. Yeah.
So being scared of heights, having to ride this, it was just next level fright.
I saw the other one. I haven't seen this one. Oh my God. And you're scared of heights.
Yeah, that's what made this hard. I mean, the riding itself is not very hard up there, but being scared of heights is making it totally insane.
And the jumps?
I didn't take the canyon gap, so I kept it more or less safe. People still love. I think we had more than 1 million views on that one.
Yeah. No, so somebody somewhere in the world must be looking at our conversation right now, and I want to do that.
Yeah, there's many people who want to do that.
And then somebody must be like a 18-year-old or a 19-year-old must be like, all right, I want to go out and do this.
Yeah,
do that jump. What did you want to say to that person?
Well, maybe start slow, start small. Don't go to the canyon gap immediately.
Go to the pump track first.
Yeah, I mean, actually, that's true. The pump track is where it begins. This is where you get the skills. This is where you can do the first little jumps.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we're building them for everywhere. And so the kids get into the sport, and then some of the kids go into road cycling, some go into mountain biking, some go into whatever. So,
yeah. All right, let's get started with this. The idea behind it was you saw something, you heard something. How did the idea come up when it comes to the pump track? Like your idea, your initial idea?
Well, none of it was 100% my idea. The pump tracks existed way before me.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was in California, maybe where the BMX racers had a little pump track in their backyard.
In the swimming pool or...
Yeah. And played around there. And then a friend of mine in Switzerland had the idea to approach the city to have one of these nearby in a forest. And he asked me to shape it. And his idea was to mix concrete into the dirt to make it more long-lasting.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, mixing concrete or mixing cement into dirt is a bit of a weird idea. Let's do it right and build them 100% from concrete.
Yeah.
Which soon enough we did. The mountain bikers did not really love it because, back then mountain bikers were very narrow-minded. You wouldn't think so, but they were. And they said, well, mountain biking happens on dirt. So if you are building something out of concrete, you are evil. Yeah. Which in some way I understood and still do, because it's true. Mountain biking happens on dirt normally. Yeah. But the benefit of having something that holds up throughout the year, that you can ride all year long, and that the cities can provide to the kids, that is a pretty good benefit.
Yeah.
And so we were actually the first ones to build them in concrete, and then only just 2 years later or so, the city of Kur, where I live now, came to me and said, hey, we want one of them, but we have an idea for you. What if you do them from asphalt? And I was like, yeah, why not? And they said, okay, we'll get you a road construction company to your side and you can test it out. And so a week later, I went to visit that road construction company and built a turn. I just shaped the turn with an excavator, and they then tried to lay the asphalt on it. And it worked. And then a month later, we've built the world's first asphalt pump track in Kur.
Which year was this?
That was 2012.
So this was 2012, right?
Yeah.
And then after that, did your life slightly change?
You could say so, yeah. That's where the pump track boom got born. It went basically viral all over the world. In the meantime, we've built around 750 tracks. And yes, so quite a few years followed where I would just, go from India to Chile, back to Africa, and I was traveling 10 out of 12 months just building pump tracks. Yeah. Now I have a lot of teams.
Yeah.
We're building more pump tracks than ever, but I don't have to do them all myself.
All by yourself.
I don't have to travel that much anymore.
I remember one of my guys from the team, like they showed me a video, if I'm not mistaken, and a picture, I believe, of one of the first ones that you did. And obviously at that time, internet was just booming as well, or just starting off, if I'm not mistaken, like 2012, 13, Instagram was just starting off, YouTube was definitely there. Like, how did it actually gain traction back in the day? Was it digital that really helped push it forward? Or word to mouth?
I would say it was mainly Facebook.
Exactly.
Yeah, like at that time, it was Facebook that, I must admit, that really helped because it was an easy way to share what we did. And it was a new thing, so it was spread around the world. And soon enough, we had even a request from Thailand. And Thailand was then the first kind of Pumpforpeace, how should I say, experience. We were there building a pump track for a rich guy at the border in Cambodia.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a lot of kids living in slums, basically.
Yeah.
And we were building this super expensive pump track there from asphalt in front of the slums. And I was feeling so weird. I thought, well, who is going to use this pump track here? Can these kids even afford a bike, or will they just be looking at some weird shapes, not being able to use them? And are we building this just for a few rich guys?
Yeah.
So during the 3 weeks that we were building there, it just felt weird.
Yeah.
But then once we laid the last wheelbarrow of asphalt, all of these kids ran out of their little huts with, barefoot, broken off, rusty pedals, whatever they had. And they started riding on the pump track and they would not stop. They just kept on riding. And I was like, wow, what have we done? And I knew that from this moment, I realized that no matter where we go, the effect of those pump tracks is always exactly the same. It's kids having a crazy amount of fun together. And it's the exact same effect, whether that's in Switzerland or in New York City or in Africa or somewhere in Asia
or here in Nepal.
The kids come out and have fun on it. And that's why we created Pumpforpeace then, to make it possible to build anywhere in the world.
That's fantastic. Hey, that's fantastic, my brother. Tell me a little bit about which one was the first one, like Velosolutions. So you started off in your own city, and then you went ahead and decided that, okay, we're gonna make it a company, and then just do it as a business. Like in the beginning of it, like how did it all pan out?
Yeah, actually, we founded Velosolutions in 2004. Two friends of mine and me, and Pump Track was not a thing.
Not a thing.
No, that was just a trail building company with the idea of, consulting ski resorts, basically, in terms of mountain biking, on how to develop their offerings for mountain bikers and their trails, and then also do the marketing for them.
Yeah.
So I had some really, really good guys with me. The problem was that I was not done racing yet. So those two friends who were with me, they said, well, we don't want to do it alone without you.
Yeah.
So they left. And so the company was sitting still for a while because I was still racing. But then came the time where my race career came to an end. And so I picked up the company again. But still pump tracks were not yet a thing, so we were mainly doing racetracks, World Cup racetracks, and which was good fun. I mean, we loved it, and we still do that. But then when pump tracks came, they got such a big, as we said before, it
just blew up. It just blew up.
Yeah, it blew up. It's a global thing now. Which is why we're mainly known for pump tracks and not so much for our trails, even though
you still have that's still being done.
We just built the Olympic cross-country racetrack in Paris for this year's Olympic Games. Yeah,
and we have I think one of my guys had a picture or something along that line of that as well, which I definitely want to talk about, because that's something that maybe if you down the road in Nepal, if your team's definitely interested or somebody is interested within Nepal, maybe we could do that as well. How about that?
Absolutely. I mean, I had some meetings here. We would love to, the idea is not necessarily to come in with our own teams, but to teach Nepali trail builders both to build pump tracks and trails and collaborate with them. Because, Swiss people are way too expensive to work in Nepal.
Maybe you could go ahead and take in a little bit of information and from us as well, and maybe we could go to Switzerland and get things done there too. You never know how that's going to pan out. No, I'm really happy about that. And then now, when you look back at it, right? The first one was in Switzerland itself, and then going international. Like now, when you look back at it, right? 2013, 14, 15, once you started going international and building it in countries all around the world, now when you look back at it, how does that make you feel? Challenges that came?
Well, I mean, every track is a challenge, and the only thing that changes is my reaction to those same challenges. The stories we just had in Nepal Ganj, with not getting the right asphalt and not having the machines on time, etc., etc. It's happened at every single Pumpforpeace project. It's just exactly the same, with the only difference that in the first 10, I completely freaked out and lost it. While now I'm like, okay, well, we're going to get it done anyway. It's just, it'll come. But again, I would probably not have been as cool with it if it wasn't for the help we had from Lalitpur.
Because you already had a groundwork and you already knew the team and knew the guys and everything had come together, like Jenny, Rajdai and Jedi and the whole everybody who came together to go ahead and support.
Yeah, so they did all that angry work and I could just focus on shaping. So that was really good.
Giving a gist of to friends from all around the world. This is not just for Pump Track Worlds, Pump Track Peace, but this is for anybody. Maybe there's somebody who could actually afford it, or maybe there's a government that wants to get in touch with you, and anywhere in the world, right? Just touching base on this. How long does it take, actually? Like if everything works out?
Well, the construction itself can be done in 3 weeks. Obviously, the planning and the permits and all of that takes a lot longer than that. So I would say usually, I mean, there are cities who are ready to go. And if they are, we have enough teams. We can, if a city wants to build in 2 weeks, we can probably make it happen. But usually the process up to where we actually travel and go on site takes a year, for the city to arrange everything and get the funds. But once we're on site, depending on the size of the track, we're done in 3 to 4 weeks.
So you put a smile on somebody's face in 4 weeks then, huh? Extra big smile in 4 weeks. How much, just to understand this, how much does it cost in a sense when it comes to you're building it for, let's say, a Pumpforpeace? How much does it actually cost, except for the land?
That obviously depends on the country. But talking about Nepal, so that these first two projects were Pumpforpeace projects, meaning that sponsors and donors, is it donators?
Donors.
Paid for the project, so I wouldn't even know exactly.
No worries.
But I talked to the people how much was actually spent on materials and machinery and everything else needed, and they said it's $60,000 for machinery and materials. Now, if we had to fly in an international team that was paid, that would be another 60,000. So the total cost would be somewhere around 120,000. That was now covered by, or mainly covered by Pumpforpeace. Now, if it goes off in Nepal and suddenly we start building a lot here, then the goal would be to actually create a Nepali team.
Yeah.
So we would teach a team here that could maybe under the supervision of one of my guys, build the whole track by itself, which then would bring the cost down quite a bit.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like right now, we have a pump track in Lalitpur, we have a pump track in Nepalganj now, right? Maybe down the road we could have it all across the country.
Yeah, I mean, in Switzerland we have 160 tracks already in a country with 8 million people.
Exactly.
And it's not like if this neighborhood already has a track, then the next neighborhood doesn't need one, because the kids want to ride their bikes everywhere and they don't want to go across Kathmandu to ride the one in Lalitpur. That's why in Switzerland nowadays you find a pump track every 10 minutes, because as a parent you don't want your kid go an hour away to ride a pump track. It's better if it's in the same town or even in the same neighborhood. Just like, I don't know how it is here, but there's a soccer field and the kids' playground in every neighborhood. So why not a pump track?
We have, let me just go ahead and add this on yours. We have futsal. I don't know if you know what futsal is. So it's football. You play in a humongous field. Futsal. You play it in
downsized version.
A downsized version of it. I'm thankful that in urban areas of the country, not in every urban area, but we do have that. So it's starting off. And if again, obviously, the term that I'm going to use is I'm kind of jealous, So I definitely want it all across the country. So that would be something that we should definitely look into, and friends in the government should definitely look into, because, like you said, right, the smile in the kids' faces, that's all that matters at the end of the day. It's priceless.
Even just yesterday in Nepalganj, when I saw these kids coming in, they were not yet on bikes. They wanted to ride the bikes, but they were not allowed yet. So they just had fun running on the track. They just loved it running on the track. And then I realized, well, for Nepalganj, this is very special because they don't seem to have any playgrounds around. They have, well, at least I didn't see them. And there's a lot of kids, and there's a lot of traffic, and a lot of noise, and a lot of trash. And on the pump track we've built, it's kind of a little oasis. It was quiet, it was safe, no traffic, and the kids could just play. And so I think for Nepalganj, this is a very, very strong thing. And I can't wait to see videos from the kids riding there. I think it's gonna be good.
It's gonna be awesome, because I still remember the opening of Lalitpur. Can we do this? Can we go to YouTube and show everybody the opening of the first pump track in Lalitpur? I just want to go back 1 year back and then show it to everybody, because the smile on everybody's face. And everybody came out. Some came out in their cycles. Some came with those small little mopeds, and some came in skateboard. If you remember, everybody showed up. And then there were the spectators. There's so many people. They just showed up to just look. And I'm sure it's like that all across the world on the opening.
Yeah. I mean, obviously in Switzerland by now they know it's not like a new thing anymore. But every town is proud of their pump track, and the kids can't wait. You know, it's still the same thing. Yeah.
Even in developed countries, I'm sure kids are excited for it.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? In developed countries, when you've built it as well, right?
Yeah, you know, often it happens that the kids themselves go to see the mayor or the city government, and they ask them, "Hey, we really want a pump track. Can you please get us a pump track?" It happens quite often. It's not rare.
How was you? When was the first time you came to Nepal, though, Claudio?
2019.
2019, right? When the initiation happened, right? How did you feel when you were here for the first time? Okay. So this is back in the day when we were getting started.
Yeah, that was October or November of 22.
Yeah, this is right post, or we were kind of the COVID thing was just still a thing.
Yeah.
There you go. You remember day one?
Absolutely.
How was that?
Day one of the opening or day one of construction?
Day one of day one of landing in Nepal for the first time. How was that?
That's the one in 2019. Yeah. Cool. We went straight into Tamil and straight into that millet drink. The warm beer, what's it called?
Tongba.
Yeah, exactly. So I remember that. And then straight into all those bars with the live music. I could not believe that you have like live music in so many bars 7 days a week. It was heaven for me. So back then I had a band in Switzerland. I called them. I said, "Hey guys, we need to come live here. We can play every night."
And then the first day of construction, how was that right here?
The first day of construction was a bit rough for me. I came back from a trek in Langtang Valley and suddenly had to spend my nights on the toilet. So
Oops, sorry.
Yeah, that's how construction started, and I didn't sleep for 6 nights because I spent those on the toilet while being in the excavator during the day. It was a bit of a rough one. Ended up in hospital with getting
with the IV.
IV.
Ooh.
They had to put loads and loads and loads in, so I had some liquids back in me.
Jeez, that was an experience.
Yeah, that was good, and then. They said I actually have to stay in hospital, and I said no. I need to go lay some asphalt now, and then 3 days later we had the opening.
Oh man, thanks for doing that. Who all were there right in the get go? Like how did the initiation happen for Nepal? If you want to just go ahead and share the initiation of how did you get started with the pump track in Kathmandu? Oh, I mean in Kathmandu, Lalitpur. Yeah.
Yeah. It was Jenny from Himalayan Single Track who initially made it all happen with then the help of Jay Kakshapati from, I always forget.
Switchback. I'll help you out.
And Raj from Himali Riders. So it was a pretty good team setting it all up. Obviously, they did not know what to expect, what my expectations were, and they don't come from construction business. So when I told them I need this and that, it meant nothing to them, and it was a very, very good challenge for them and nothing really worked at the beginning. Not because of their fault. It's just because things are not that easy to organize or to get when you're not from the construction world. So this team that I just mentioned, they did quite some night shifts to get us the crushed stone, the gravel, to even be able to work. But now, since they knew it from the first one in Lalitpur, they had it all sorted for the one in Nepalganj, so they knew exactly what to ask for, and that's what made it so much easier for us this time.
Yeah. Let's say a city in Nepal, any city in Nepal. I don't even want to take names now. Any city in Nepal will be like, hey, could we go ahead and build it, right? Could we go ahead and plan it? We'll give you land. We'll give you whatever you need. Do you think we're ready to go ahead and build it within our Nepali team now? Almost?
No, because so far we have done 100% of the construction work. The organizing was done by Jay and Jenny.
Yeah.
But then the actual construction work was done by us with some help from the Switchback team. But if we really plan on going into creating a Nepali construction team, we would have to really start teaching them. And that's not done in 1 or 2 projects. That's going to take a while.
Yeah.
There is the option that we would take them to international projects to teach them quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're super interested in.
No,
in
that's
doing
going to be
something
awesome.
like that.
And now in Nepali, it's called Lodi, right? So I'm kind of excited that maybe there might be a few friends who are watching right now who might be like, hey, we could go ahead and volunteer and then try to build it all across the world. And then maybe we could come back home and just learn the skill and then come back home and do it under the supervision and just go ahead and build more pump tracks down the road. Isn't that how it works with other friends from around the world as well?
Yeah, usually we have a partner in a country, and then we show that team how to shape the pump track and how to lay the asphalt.
Yeah.
We would still do the design back in Switzerland. And then after a couple of projects, we see that they're getting where they should be. We see that the quality is where it should be, and then from there on, they can do it on their own.
How do we maintain it though? For friends who have pump tracks all across the world and within Nepal, how do we maintain it? Like, what did you want to go ahead and say to the kids who are actually right there right now? Like, if you want to keep it for a long period of time.
Well, we're using kind of a special asphalt that is very strong, or basically like a road, but not like a Nepali road.
That's why my question.
So, in a normal scenario, it hardly takes any maintenance except for keeping it clean, maybe mow the grass on the side or water the grass. But the track itself hardly needs any maintenance. That being said, our oldest track is from 2012, so we don't know how it develops in 20 years. But just like any road, if it has a crack, you fix the crack. It's not like rocket science. Yeah.
Okay. No, I come from a very different approach, so ignore my question on that. But I come from, how do I say it? We still have a lot of roads that still needs to be built in this country, and I'm a big advocate on let's make sure that we have all the roads up and running all across the country. So I'm sure you've traveled. So I don't know how much you've traveled across my country in a car. So take the highway and then
you have some of the bumpiest ones. Yeah.
Maybe you'll help us go ahead and build the rest of the highways that we need. Maybe just throw in a little bit of ideas, and that's going to be built faster. On today's date, right? Where all are you working on, and do you even have time to travel on majority of these countries?
No, I cannot go to all the projects. There, in the summertime, in the northern hemisphere summertime, we work on up to 25, 30 projects simultaneously.
Yeah.
So obviously I cannot be on all of them. I do have an eye on all the designs though. I do most of them myself.
Nice.
And if I don't do them myself, I at least control them or like oversee them. But the construction, I'm not necessarily needed because we have super motivated people, a lot of riders who love shaping pump tracks, and it's really good to count on them, and they all love what they're doing. And by the way, tonight I'm flying home and then going straight to Italy for the first ever global Velosolutions meeting, where we're gonna have all the partners from around the world in one place. We're building a pump track together there, and just get to know everyone and share experiences and ride some bikes.
Oh, that's fantastic. And best of luck to you, and best of luck to friends from all across the world. And I'm definitely looking forward for, if it works out, more friends from here who can be a part of your team and then build more tracks here within Nepal.
That's the goal.
And maybe we could go out and build tracks in India or China, maybe, because we're so close to both of them. Have we built any in India? We have.
We built one in Hyderabad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I think in 2015. That was quite a challenging story as well. I would say Nepalganj came very close to that one, with the difference that I wasn't the one having to run around and yell at people. But in India it was like that. So the job in India, in Hyderabad, was one of the most stressful ones ever.
I haven't seen that one. Can we Google Hyderabad pump track, and then maybe we'll get a fair enough idea?
Yes, I think we do have some videos from there.
Yeah.
And China is going on. We have quite a lot of tracks being built there.
In China itself?
Yeah.
And they're very open to having a lot of pump tracks throughout China?
Yes. This is only just picking up, yeah.
Nice. That's fantastic, because these two are the largest population in the planet with most amount of kids, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Age group? Any age group? Anything that you specifically recommend? Any age group is cool. Just come and have fun.
Yeah, I think that is what makes a pump track so special. It's not for a specific age group. You can go on from on a walk bike, on a like a bike.
Yeah.
A strider, they call it in English.
This was Hyderabad.
Yeah, this is I think during the qualifier of the Pump Track World Championships, which we organize. So we have qualifiers all around the world on our tracks, and the winner of each qualifier wins a ticket to the final at the end of the year, and then at the end of the season we have the grande finale, which then crowns the official world champion.
Yeah. And what's the plan for this year?
For this year, actually, I have an email on my computer, which I haven't read it, with the options of where the final is going to be. We definitely want to bring a qualifier to Nepal as well. We already tried that last year. There were some hurdles that were not yet... we were not able to jump those hurdles yet, but we're trying again this year to bring a qualifier here, so that the Nepali rider will get the chance to win a ticket to go to the finals.
And let's make that happen, and that's going to be super duper awesome. Tell me a little bit about Velosolutions, though. What are your plans for the future? Like, what do you see in the future? Just your thought process on it.
Well, there's two main projects coming up. One of them is a big focus at the moment. We're coming out with a app, with a smartphone app, which, if you have it, allows you to have your phone in the pocket, and when you do laps on the pump track, it will measure the lap time down to the millisecond.
Awesome.
So we'll get completely accurate lap times. So basically, you can compare yourself with the entire world. You can compete. There will be ranking lists on every track. So you will find every track around the world on a world map. You can go there and you can measure your time, and there will be a ranking list, and you will see what your ranking is on every single track in the world if you want to visit them all. And obviously, over time, we can also use that for qualifiers of the World Championships. So
you're going to love data, yeah.
So if, for example, we are not able to go and have a qualifier in a country, we can just tell the kids, download the app, do a couple of laps, the fastest lap counts, and the fastest kid will be invited to the World Championships.
And it might be somebody from Nepal, and you never know.
who knows?
Yeah, I hope that happens. So that's one thing, and what's the second thing?
The second thing is what I call the Velosolutions farm, which is, by the way, I was also looking around here in Nepal for places where it would fit, but it's kind of a resort that combines our values, meaning organic food, sustainable, renewable energy, good bike infrastructure, good trails, a pump track and dirt jumps, a retreat space to meditate, a co-working space to work together. Just this combined on a concentrated place where you can find peace, you can find health, you can find sports, you can find business, you can do it all in one place. The idea is that if someone gets tired of his city, in Switzerland, for example, people who live in Zurich, from November to February, it's always fog.
Yeah.
It's always gray and coldish, just like Nepalganj. And if people then could say, well, I can't take a vacation, but I could go to the Velosolutions farm and work from there. And there it's sunny, I have good trails, I have healthy food, I have maybe good music in the evening. So I can go and work there. And so I'm kind of on a vacation, but I'm still working.
Yeah.
So it's, we call it a workation.
Workation.
And many different, it could also be for a training camp as an athlete. I need a good place where I can prepare for my season or where I can prepare for world championships. He could come to the Velosolutions farm knowing there's good trails to train on, there's healthy food for me, there's peace and quiet if I need to relax, and so on and so on.
Oh, that's fantastic. And you should definitely go ahead and have one in somewhere in Nepal.
I think so.
So that friends from Asia could at least come, or all around the world could definitely go ahead and come. And I kind of have a feeling I know the right person to go ahead, and you already know the person. You got to talk to.
We've already.
You got to talk to Jed, and then he's gonna make it happen. Have you been to Kurintar at his place?
Yes.
You've seen his garden.
Yes.
You've seen his vegetable garden.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing what he has going on up there?
I love it. That brings up in my mind, I need to find some of your spinach seeds. You guys have the best spinach in the world. I need to bring some of that home to Switzerland.
Oh, you can take it? If you can take it, I'll set you up.
Cut it out.
This is home, and come anytime, at least to the studio. That's what I'm talking about. And anything new that you do, anytime, 24/7, I'm open, and I'd love to go ahead and share that with the rest of the world. There you go, Pumpforpeace right here with everybody. And we'll share more information on this on my platform. And you came in such a great day. And thank you so much for coming and sharing your story. And thank you very much for being a part of Nepal and our people and putting smile on our kids' faces.
Thanks for your time, and thanks for this.
No, awesome. All right, let's go back on our food. And, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
There you go.